Hey, Terry Vanover here. Good to have you. Good to see you. I hope that you have wonderful plans in the new year. 2021 is almost here. Yay. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to leaving this year behind. Perhaps you've gone through a divorce and you're feeling abandoned. So, we're going to be talking today about how to stop feeling abandoned. So, I'm a divorce strategist and I help you navigate through divorce without being legally, financially, and emotionally devastated. But just as importantly, I help you to heal from unhealthy and toxic relationships in your life so that you can transition confidently into that next new phase of your life and find a happy, healthy new relationship. So we're talking about abandonment, and I want to share a story about a client that I have who is currently married and is contemplating divorce, and I'll tell you why. I want to talk about how the abandonment is affecting the filters that she has in her marriage. And um, so one of the things that I always say is that, oftentimes we're using our intimate partners to try to heal something from our parental relationship, and we're just doing it unconsciously. We don't realize we're doing it. We're choosing partners from that inner wounded self. We're choosing partners trying to get what we didn't get in our childhood from a mom or a dad. And so we're doing it on an unconscious level. And oftentimes, what happens is we choose a partner based on that, what that inner wounded little girl needs, but not what the adult needs. And we dismiss the red flags along the way. So, I have a client and she's currently married, and we're working through her own issues because one of the things that she keeps saying, and I wrote a love language post about this, right? If you read that, is that he doesn't spend enough time with me. My husband doesn't spend enough time with me. And I see this a lot with the married clients that I work with. They come to me and they feel that their husband is not giving them what they want. And I'm not saying that's neither true or not true. But what I do is help my clients lose the filters and heal their abandonment issues so that they can see the marriage for what it is rather than this little wounded girl that's not getting what she needs. So my client has, let's say she had a childhood that was, I would say physically she got what she needed, but emotionally she was very isolated. Her emotional needs were never met. She felt very isolated, very invisible. That's the term that she uses quite often. I felt invisible. No one gave her attention, and what little attention that her and her sibling got, it was very negative and judgmental. So for her, she felt like very isolated and very alone. So emotionally, she felt abandoned, particularly by her mother. And so what does she do? And again, this is where those love language can often get misconstrued. She's looking for time with her husband. My husband doesn't spend enough time with me. My husband doesn't spend enough time with me. And so the truth is, and when we kind of look at it, it wasn't just her husband. I mean, she was always looking to go to friends and having friends over at her house, and like, so that time thing was a big thing, needing people to be around her all the time. And the truth was, she was struggling to let go of the loneliness. She just felt lonely. And so she wanted other people around her to make her feel better. She didn't want to be alone. And what I invite my clients to do is to consciously surrender to that loneliness. For me, it was my first step in healing, and consciously surrender to that loneliness, because here's the thing: you cannot solve internal problems with external solutions. And she was trying to solve, this feeling of loneliness, this feeling of isolation that she had carried with her whole life from her childhood, with her marriage, and expecting him to make her feel good about it, expecting her friends to make her feel good. Let's go out, let's be together, let's do things. And that's where that love language myth can get misconstrued, where people will think that quality time is their love language, when really it was her language of her inner child needing comfort, needing to feel visible, needing someone with her. So what we did is work on her getting the visibility and the validation herself rather than expecting her husband to give it to her or her friends. And so we deal with those things from an inside, going within and healing that wounded little girl within so that she's not expecting it from outside. And I had another client who came to me very similarly, telling me her love language is words of affirmation. And the truth was, her husband would compliment her, and yet the thing was like, well, when is enough? When is enough enough? And so she felt insecure and she was expecting her husband to make her feel better about herself. And so when she worked on that insecurity herself, and we dove deeply into the relationship with her father had been very controlling and very demanding and expected very little of her. And so it really manifested in her marriage in that anytime her husband asked anything of her, she rebelled unconsciously because she's kind of rebelling against her father, so to speak. And not only that, but she was also expecting him to feed that insecure little girl that needed more validation. I need you to tell me I'm pretty. I need you to tell I'm good enough. So we worked on that unconditional love herself, and I gave her some exercises and activities reframing how she viewed the relationship with her father, and also gave her exercises and activities that she could do to give herself the unconditional love that she's seeking from other people. So that's what I do. I give people the tools and the exercises that they need to heal themselves from within so that they're not using external people to fill that void. So if you're lonely, if you're struggling, if you feel like you're not good enough, if you feel insecure, that's a sign to you that you have some healing to do. I love to listen to Peter Cronin. One of the things that he says is that life will present you with people and circumstances that will reveal where you still need to heal. So when you're triggered by your ex, you know that there's something within you that you still need to work on. When you have a boss that you can't stand and that's constantly judgmental, or that makes you so angry, this is an opportunity for you to look at, like, okay, what's going on within me? Let me heal this within me. Because I look at people and circumstances and events that happen to us, like this pandemic. This is an opportunity for us to heal what's going on within us. And then those things no longer trigger us. Those things no longer bother us. We can let those things go. So, for me, if you've heard me talk about my journey, for me, it was that loneliness. I had the loneliness when I was married, and then when I went through the divorce, holy mackerel, that loneliness, I just cried myself to sleep every night. But the one good thing that I did was that I consciously surrendered to the loneliness, because I knew, look, girl, you have been running from this for years and years and years, and you've just got to just deal with it. Because there was a big part of me, I'm not even gonna lie, that like wanted to go out there and date men and like have men tell me I was pretty and tell me like, oh, you're so smart, you're so this, you're so that. I mean, I was desperate for that attention. I'm not even gonna lie, when I was going through my divorce. But I knew like this was not going to solve that problem. It was a distraction, and I went within. And what I recognized in those moments, crying, sitting down in the basement all by myself in some strange woman's basement, was that, oh, this is about me. I don't feel lovable. I don't feel worthy. And I connected that it was from the abandonment I felt from my father. I think deep down, I felt like if my own father can't love me, how can anyone else love me? Right? And my abandonment issues manifested in many ways, like that needing to the words of affirmation. I was one, right, where I screwed up the whole like love languages, and it's really just trauma that I'm like projecting onto my partner, like, insecurity. Make me feel good about myself. Tell me again and again and again and again how much you love me, and it's never enough. And another way, particularly for women, that trauma will manifest too is a need to control, right? So if you're feeling abandoned, oftentimes inside is a hot mess, right? So we want to control our external circumstances. We want to make sure everything's perfect. We want to make sure that our house looks good. We want to make sure that our child behaves perfectly. We have a need to control, right? We want to control our external world because the internal world is so chaotic. And that was a big thing that I struggled with for many, many years of control. And I controlled my partner to the point of like, oh my God, you can't eat something different from me because that might be, that's, was so insecure, you know. And so that need to control my partner, that need to control everything around me, and now I have the right tools, I know the right things to do to heal that, so that I no longer need to control anything. I think the pandemic for many people was our wake up call to just surrender, to let go of the distractions around us and surrender to what is and heal what's going on within. That's why we're seeing a lot of the marriages. And, to be honest with you, 2021, we're going to see a big uptick in divorces in 2021 because the pandemic has shown people where the breaks in their relationships are. And we couldn't escape it. We're quarantined together, and if you had communication problems prior to the pandemic, chances are they didn't get better. For the most part, it revealed even bigger cracks that you can't go to work and escape it. Your kids can't go to school and they're adding more stress to it. So, because of all that, that pandemic, this has been, for many spiritual teachers, they're looking at this as an opportunity for growth. Life presents you with people and circumstances to show you where you still need to heal. And I will say that's true for me. I know there have been instances with even my husband where we've like, oh, look at this. This is coming up for us. Let's heal this. Let's work through this. Let's deal with this. Or even stuff with my kids, triggers with my kids where I go, okay, what's going on here? I'm in a place of impatience and judgment. Like I'm going to go within and say, this is an opportunity for me to heal this. This is an opportunity to deal with it. And so one of the great things is when you talk with me on the phone and we do our phone call, 3 steps to finding peace again, I identify exactly where that root issue started for you, and I give you the tools that you need to heal this once and for all. And I'll tell you, on the other side of pain is peace. On the other side of fear is freedom. I live so much in a sense of contentment and acceptance and just a place of peace now that I never had to, ever felt that way before. And so just transforming my life and having the right tools, it is so possible. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is, helping people to work on their own issues, because chances are you're going to get remarried, you're going to have another intimate relationship again, and we just bring all that baggage into our relationships until we heal it. And again, that next relationship is an opportunity for you to grow, right? So if you're coming across jerk after jerk after jerk, the universe is telling you, sister, there's something you need to work on, heal. Or if you're just so afraid to trust anyone, and you keep running up against that, that's an opportunity for you to heal that and learn to trust again and be open again and to let go of these feelings of abandonment and know that you are enough. You are good enough just on your own. You don't need anyone else to validate you to feel good. You can heal this. So I do have 2 complimentary consultations next week after the new year where I'm going to set aside some time where we can talk about how to identify the root of what your particular issue is, where it started in your life, how to reframe it, and give you the tools that you need to transform your life so that you can find peace again. You don't need to feel insecure. You don't need to feel unworthy. You don't need to feel like full of self doubt anymore. You can feel so good again. So I've got a couple sessions. So if you're interested in that, feel free to message me on Facebook, or Candace will put the link up for me. But again, it's really all about going within, and you can, and it's an empowering process when you can identify where these things started from and you can learn how to heal them. You feel so empowered. You don't feel so full of doubt. You don't feel insecure. You're not looking to everyone else to make you feel good again. So it is really amazing. So I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you have a wonderful, happy new year. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. All right.